War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to another Auburn family live stream here on E2C Network. This is our weekly Wednesday night live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to meet with you, the Auburn family, and talk about what you want to discuss tonight. This is a show that is produced by you, for you, through you. Your calls, your comments, your questions are what dictates the content tonight. So it'll be full of plenty of interesting things to talk about tonight. No one specific topic is ready, set on the table for us to focus on. It is your show, what you want to talk about. So thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay, or whether you're watching on YouTube or another social media platform such as Facebook or Twitter. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending some time with your Auburn family, but also your E2C Network family. So please do let us know right now in our check-in period who is here by smashing the like button, the retweet button, the share button, share it into a Facebook group, but also in the chat right now, wherever you're watching, post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with the War Eagle. Want to know who's here hanging out with us tonight. And invite a friend if you know someone that'd be interested in being part of the conversation, even just via the chat. Send them a little link. You can hit that share link button down below. So that's how we get our show started. Welcoming you into the fold to talk about that and getting our check-in period started. But what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, as I said, every Wednesday night, it is about you, your calls, and your questions and your comments. So the call line will open up in just a little bit. I got a couple of things I want to take care of before we start accepting calls. But obviously, there's a lot on the table to discuss. Fall practice is getting close to being done. Not quite, but getting close. We are all sitting on pins and needles, trying to figure out when and if they're going to announce the starting quarterback. That may have happened in the last hour. I've been checked out for the last hour doing some other things. So I haven't been paying attention if that news dropped right now. So you all will have to tell me that, but things always happen here sometimes. School's back in session, has been for a week. There's plenty of things that we can talk about, obviously heavy on Auburn sports, but anything that you want to talk about is on the table. Let me start off the show with this. And we usually talk about this a little bit later in the show, but I do want to acknowledge this at the start here, that every Wednesday night we are brought to you by All Things Auburn. You'll see their logo up in the top. Well, it's always mirrored here. This hand, Kyle, over here, you can kind of see it. The top corner there, you'll see their logo there. They have informed me All Things Auburn is a place for you to stay in Auburn through some condominium type accommodations that are very close to campus, like within 5-minute walking distance of all the major athletic venues. They have a lot of availability left. If you guys are interested in coming to town for football games, especially, you might want to hit them up over at allthingsauburn.net. We'll talk about them a little bit later on in the show some more, but we will. I just wanted to go ahead and get that out there for you tonight. Also, we're going to be debuting a video that we're going to be sharing on social media, but exclusive to you guys early here on the live stream. This is what happens when you come to the live streams. If you're here, sometimes we like to give you special little things. Sorry, Booster Club members. I felt like this is one of the things we kind of shared just with everybody. Just a fun little video about two of our podcast hosts that had a fun little bet going on about the Auburn quarterback race. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So wanted to cover all of those things at the start. Let's see who's here hanging out with us. We got Big Mac, Carrie, Linda, Neil, Thomas, War Eagle, 1975. Jack, good to see you. Yes, it's been a while, my friend. Let's see. Dusty's here, trying to make sure I get a good view of everybody. Oh, somebody from Athens, UJ. Bless you, sir. You are doing the Lord's work over there, surviving in Athens, Georgia. Ugh, that's awful. I'm over here in Marietta, and it's pretty bad over here, but I can't imagine what you're having to deal with over there. We got Blaine and, of course, Devin. Yes, Carrie, we are going to open up the phone lines tonight for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Well, actually, let's do this fun little thing real quick. Oh, let me bring this back over here for me. I want to show you guys, to start off tonight, a fun little video that I obviously had a hand in helping prepare, but the majority of it, the idea, the concept, goes credit to our two co-hosts of our No Huddle podcast. That is the podcast that we have on our network focusing on Auburn football. AJ Richardson and Jared Davis are the co-host of that. And they've been having a little bet about the quarterback race. And it looks pretty much, even though there's not been anything announced, we kind of know, or at least we think we do, where this thing's heading at this point. So with that being said, they have settled up on a bet that they had. So what I'm going to do right now is, you can see this weird guy is Jared, is the first one that's going to come up on the video. I'm going to share the video here and just let it play. And we'll be sharing this out on social media. So please do share it out tomorrow, even if you've seen it here live on the stream. So let's go ahead and do that.
Podcast. You probably remember a few months ago, I made a bet with AJ that Zach Calzada would be named starter before fall camp.
You must be so embarrassed.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. Didn't make sense then. Really doesn't make sense now. So I made the bet. Here we are at Starbucks. We're about to go in to fulfill that bet. I did not set a price stipulation on AJ. Hopefully he goes easy on me. I'm hoping for just a plain black coffee. But we will find out in just a moment. War Eagle. So AJ just got out of his car, very confident, knowing that he is about to get a free coffee.
There you go. So that is the video that will be debuting tomorrow on social media, but you guys get an early look at it. Listen, it's stupid. But it's just all in fun. And that's what we're all about here at the E2C network. So it was a great idea for those guys to kind of have something to promote their contest that they've been having each other. So I hope you all are listening on the podcast feed, not just here on YouTube. You can subscribe to the podcast and get content like that if it interests you. Thank you, Devin. So that'll be there. Obstradamus. That is what I am terming AJ at this point. So he knew. I've showed them the video already, so they know that was going down. All right. With that, with all the announcements, with all of the fun stuff that was to get us started tonight, we're going to open up the phone lines. You can call. Hit that link at the top of the chat window. We will get you in as fast as we can. We will be getting out here right at 9 o'clock or, right approximately that time. I'll have to close down the phone lines about the time. So don't hesitate tonight. Get in line. If there's a line, just be patient and we'll get you in as we can and try to sift through all those tonight. Would love to hear from some of our regulars, but some new voices tonight as well. So don't be shy. Please do call in and we will talk about what you want to discuss tonight. All right. I know that there were a lot of comments up at the start that you guys were already asking. I'll try to go back to some of those if I can, but go ahead and put them back in the chat because I'm going to kind of start from where we were at after doing that video and kind of hit some of your comments and questions about all that kind of stuff to start off right here. Jack says he's got some insights on the quarterback race. Things I've been told about the quarterback race. TJ and Robbie Ashford were the top first 2 weeks. Zach and Holden were mid first 2 weeks. TJ has tailed off. RA has been solid. Calzada and Holden have surged this week. Here's what I'm going to say. I think all we can go off of is what we are being told. And the information that we've been given seems to indicate that TJ was in the lead. And that's what I'm going to operate off of outside of hearing solid information from others that are very connected. Everybody's got sources, everybody talks, but I focus mainly on what the coaches are saying and read into what they're saying. I don't think it's a shock that they mentioned TJ first when they talk about the quarterback race and Calzada at that time last. Now, my hope was what Jack is saying here is would happen. Competition makes everybody better. And so I want the best Auburn quarterback. And the best way to do that is to have them compete at the highest level against each other to be that quarterback. So it's going to be crazy. Hopefully we'll know in 48 hours who the quarterback is. But if there is this stiff of a competition, you may not know even into next week. But their goal was to tell us this week. Some people got us doing good this season. Carrie says, yeah, I think tempered expectations is a good way to operate. That's not me saying that we're going to be bad, but I think tempering expectations will set you up for success this year. And understanding within context what a successful season will be. Why would anybody think a starter would be named before fall camp? Easy money. I don't know. You'll have to ask Jared that one, Dusty. He's not really involved on social media, which is probably a smart move on his part, as we all know. But he, if you can ever meet up with him, you'll have to ask him that one. Let's see here. I'm trying to look around here. And I'm going to stress this, guys. I'm not getting on any one person in particular. We're not going to be engaging in kind of the bashing of TJ. I see we're having discussions about that. No one's over the line or anything like that. But we're going to go by the rule. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. But anyway, I'm only half serious talking about that thing. I know that there are some frustrations that people are perceiving about TJ and things that we saw last year. I'm not ignoring those. I'm just willing to give the dude the benefit of the doubt and give him a chance to show that he has improved, because I believe that he can. I believe that he will. And whether he's the starter or not, because I hope he's improved after last year, because even if he's not the starter, if he is the backup, then we definitely need our backup to be solid and ready to go. And he was that at times for us last year. I mean, people seem to forget, Georgia State's Georgia State, but he pulled us out of the fire on that one. People tend to forget he played pretty well in that Iron Bowl to put us in a position to win. Sure, did he do not spectacular in some other games? Sure. But I think if you look at the context of what he was thrown into, you got to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Let's see here. Devin's super fired up for the season, ready for the naysayers to be silenced. Well, Devin, as you and I know, naysayers are never silenced. And here's the thing. I think there's two ends of the spectrum here, right? And we've talked about this a lot here on this channel. It's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. I find myself as an optimistic person in my view, sometimes, and in the past especially, being too far on that side of the spectrum, to the point of being what some people would call, the naysayers would call, sunshine pumping. That can get a little overboard too. I think also it's easier to go to the naysaying side. Somewhere in the middle here, we're going to find that reality, and we can find that happy medium. Did I watch Auburn versus Israel? Carrie, we were doing live streams throughout the Auburn versus Israel thing. So if you haven't, please go back and watch those. You'll hear some commentary about that. We did some post-game shows about that. Really enjoyed watching that team right there. Let's see here. Carrie says they said regardless of which quarterback gets picked, they said Ashford will play some in game one. Has anybody said that specifically, Carrie? I don't know. If you're saying they said, like we always say they said, or they're saying, like in this general sense, who exactly, was it a coach that said that? Was it a player that said that? Hey, here's my assumption of what's going to happen is I think there's going to be a starter. We're especially going to get out to a lead against Mercer. And then you're going to see Calzada and Ashford. I'm just going off of what I know right now. I'm going to say TJ starts. Robbie and Calzada are going to be getting significant minutes, especially in the second half, to really showcase what they can do to continue making a decision each week for these guys. Because Coach Harsin has said before, every job is up for grabs every single week. You can prove that you give us the best opportunity to win. We're going to give you the reps in practice to prove that. And you'll earn more if you continue to prove that. And then one day you find yourself in the starting role. Thomas is ready for... it's time for game prep, ready for that fall camp to be over. I agree. It's been fun having a little bit of bowl or off time this summer to not have so much going on, because this past weekend, guys, that's my last weekend of just relaxing. Because this weekend, I can announce this right now, I will be in Auburn this weekend. Just for a day trip for the open practice. So be looking for a live stream right after that, or close to after that. As soon as I get out of the stadium, I want to hang around, see what I can see, hear, talk to, and all that kind of stuff. So that's on the table as well. Like this, I'm going to be busy this weekend getting prepped for the season outside of just traveling there. So it is something that I've been really looking forward to, football getting back here. But at the same time, it was really nice having some off time for a little while. Corey Benson and Hoover, good to see you. Blaine says, bold prediction, if Harsin survives this year, he will win a natty in the next 6 years. Well, that's, Blaine, I would say that's not that big of a step out. I don't disagree with you at all. I don't think that that's very bold. That's like saying, well, I can't really think of a good analogy. Auburn traditionally has the talent, can attract the talent to be competing for national championships every year. Has the facilities and has the backing when they choose to from people that have the money to back them. They have every opportunity to be just as successful as Alabama, as Georgia, as LSU at times as they've been. So to predict that in the next 6 years, if he survives this year, is not that bold. But I agree with you. I think he would in that scenario. Jack says he thinks that the true starter will be announced after Mercer. Well, I disagree with you because I think that the starter is the starter. But just like I said at the beginning of my discussion of quarterbacks, Coach Harsin takes this on a week by week. It's, want to know that mentality. Take care of what you have to today. Don't worry about what happened in the past, what happened, what's going to happen after this. When they show up to practice on Monday after a game, if somebody didn't cut in the game and the next guy behind him is showing that he has more promise, more capability to be successful for himself and this team, he's going to give him the shot. So to me, there's always a starter, but it's anybody's game every single week. I can't see TJ beating out Calzada. Well, coaches sure can. So Neil, I don't know what to tell you there. I think at this point they still think Jared, look, is that or Jared Davis, sir? You need to call in. I hope you saw that video. I really do, because we just played the video for them live here. We're going to post it on social media tonight. So this is Jared Davis, our co-host for No Huddle. Where is AJ at? We got to get the whole crew in here. Let's see. Where am I at in all of this? I'm bouncing around all kinds of places here. Carrie's very excited to watch the defensive line. You should be excited to watch this defense, period. I don't know why. There's just something about this defense that's getting me really excited. I think it's because it's headlined like guys like Derek Hall and Iku Leota. It's headlined with guys like Owen Papo. And I am jumping on this Wesley Steiner hype train. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of what the coaches are saying about him. Because of guys like Wesley Steiner. And that's not even, I'm skipping over people that I should be talking about, but I'm just giving you examples. I'm thinking about guys like that we haven't even seen a lot of yet because they're brand new. DJ James, Keontae Scott. I'm excited about guys like Donovan Kaufman. And I'm leaving out plenty of names that could be in that conversation. This defense, I think, has the potential to be the it factor for this team. It's probably not a fair comparison, but think about the team for 2019. Had the offense given them more support, that could have been a national championship team. I know that is a bold statement, but it is, still the same. And yes, he brings up that the captains were announced, Owen, Derek, and then John Samuel Shanker. Very wise choices. Thomas, have you decided to do your mock draft chart? Just your opinion, of course. Yeah, Thomas, like I think you requested this before. I don't know that I'm going to have time to do that because they're going to be announcing the true draft depth chart very soon. That's when they'll announce the full depth chart, is when they announce the starting quarterback for week 1. So there's really not enough time. It wouldn't happen this week. So unfortunately, Thomas, I don't think that video is going to happen, but we can, if you want opinions on that type of thing, we can certainly, talk about it here a little bit if you'd like. I'm sure hoping that no one has to pull us out of the fire against Mercer. Listen, I lived through that game. How I lived through that game, I have no earthly idea. To this day, I still feel like there was a part of my being that's still stuck in that seat in the lower bowl for that Georgia State game. That I lost millennia of my life, and I can't even live that long. Auburn has a week before the season starts next week to decide who's the starting quarterback will be. Auburn has a week before this to decide, and there's a question mark. I'm misunderstanding what you're trying to get at there. Yeah, I mean, that's week in 3 days to decide it. They have up until game time to decide it if they want it. It would be shocking, though, and that'd be pretty interesting if that happened. I bet we would win 10. You guys are having a side conversation there. Jared says, will we learn something about quarterbacks in the first 2 weeks? I think you will learn whoever they pick is the right choice or not. Speaking of Jared, he's our first caller tonight. Let's talk to the man. What's going on, Jared?
What's going on, man?
How are you doing? Did you get to see the video?
I did.
Here live, I guess, is what I'm asking.
I did. Check out my avatar. Do you see my avatar?
I see your avatar. So let me explain a little bit for people there. If you noticed at the end of the video, that is not Jared, but that is AJ being Jared's daddy because he beat him in the bet.
So here's the deal. AJ doesn't even like coffee. So he made me take out a loan to buy a Starbucks. He doesn't even like it.
That's so awful of him.
I know, right? Yeah.
How dare he? How dare he?
But no, it was fun. It was dumb. I think Dustin or somebody said, how could you? I had that little of faith in TJ, if I'm being honest with you. So I said, Zach Calzada is going to be the guy. But apparently TJ has improved. So we'll see.
Yeah, right. We can only take the coaches at their word that he has improved enough to earn their respect, enough to even put him out in that front. I think it was. Who was it earlier that was talking about it? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your name, but saying that, they're hearing things maybe have shifted again this week. And that I kind of hope for that, not because I'm rooting for one over the other. It's just because I love that there's a legitimate competition happening here that shows that the coaches are taking their time. It shows that we have solid options all the way around. And it shows that guys that were behind, whoever that may be, are improving. So what more could you ask for in that? I mean, sure, we want the security of not having to sit here and wait and fret over it, but I like it, Jared. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard several people that went to practice that said, Zach he throws the best ball. He's just not. You don't know where it's going every time. So, I think at the end of the day, it's really good. Here's the reality, in my opinion. We're going to rely on that defense y'all were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pray that the O-line can do enough to get Tank and Jarquez and them some, rushing yards, and we're really just going to rely on the quarterback to kind of be a game manager, not have to go win it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're set up in a way that it's obvious. The defense has a better foundation to work from than the offense does right now, just from perception alone. But I think it's something that we can really lean into this year and it not be a false sense of hope, because I think we were all excited about that defense last year. And then that rug got pulled out from us real quick. Realizing how porous the middle of the defense seemed to be at times early on, how much room we were giving people in the defensive back situation. I think a lot of that opened up people's eyes that wow, there wasn't a lot that we were aware of this team. But this defense, even without a guy like a Roger McCreary, who just is an island unto himself, I think there's so much talent on this defense that it's going to be the thing that we really have to lean into, and we'll be glad that we lean into. What else is on your mind tonight, Jared?
No, real quick, I put it in the comments, but I think the theory on Robbie Ashford is that he's been spending so much time with the ones. People are kind of assuming that there's going to be a package for him because, Calzada has not had a lot of time with the ones. I do think Robbie might be 2 on the depth chart, but I also think he's getting more time with the ones because they're implementing packages. So I think he will see the field probably in the first 2 games, see how that goes. Right. But a question I have real quick is, how much will we actually learn about the quarterbacks in those 2 games? Like, if they play well, what's your confidence level going into Penn State?
Well, I guess it's different for each quarterback. So what I want to see from TJ is what everybody kind of thinks about when they get worried about it being TJ, is that hitch in his throw, and not throwing a fastball for a guy that's 5 feet away in the flats. Your goal is not to launch the guy as he catches it into the sideline. So a little bit more touch, a little bit less hitch is what I evaluate as this dude's improved and he's ready for Penn State. If I see that in the first 2 games, it's against inferior opponents, but that's going to bode well for him in my mind. Calzada, it really comes down to the injury and learning about that. Like, can we tell when he's out there running full speed, getting hit, how much he is improved in terms of where his injury is at, because it's been plenty of time. But we saw it happen in basketball this year with Alan Flanagan. Plenty of time to recover, but you just mentally and physically combining that recovery together can take some time. And then Robbie, and no offense to Holden, but I think we're all just realizing that Holden's not a part of the equation right now. And he's improving according to some people in practice, but not to the level where he's a legitimate threat right now to be the starter. I think we learned from Robbie. We know what he can do, right? We know he's going to be able to run, to do the Nick Marshall type of stuff that we all love. But will Robbie be able to show us that he can command an offense holistically, like Harsin talks about, when they're on the sideline, getting guys in the position when they're not there, because there's going to be mess ups, especially in game one. So those are the things that I hope to learn about each of the quarterbacks. And if all of those things, each of those little individual tasks are improved on by each of those guys, I would feel good either way.
I'm with you, man. I'm going to back off. Keep listening to you. Appreciate you.
Of course, appreciate you. And thank you and AJ for doing such a great job on No Huddle.
Yes, sir. War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle. That was Jared, our co-host. You saw him in the video of No Huddle. So tune into that if you haven't. They are a good group of guys, even though I may dog them sometimes behind the scenes. I hope I don't make them cry too much. All right, you guys are being great in the chat in terms of giving a lot of comments, so it's going to be hard to keep up with all of them tonight. So if there's something that you're really wanting, keep pushing it to the front. My goals is to get to everybody as much as possible, but we do want to take calls when they come in tonight. Let's see what's right here at the top of our chat right now. It's amazing Auburn has winning records against most of the SEC. LSU, Georgia, and Bama are the only schools that have winning records against Auburn. It's amazing that they have winning records against most of the SEC. I don't find that amazing at all. I mean, I think, playing and having the opportunity to play most of those schools, every year, every other year playing it at home gives us an automatic advantage to win that. And you think about outside of who you just brought up, LSU, Georgia, and Bama. Florida, yeah, but they've been kind of so hit or miss the last decade that it's really hard to take them seriously. And, all-time records, I guess, is what you're getting at there. But yeah, I'm not surprised by those ones that you talked about, but I'm not surprised that we have winning records against Arkansas, Mississippi State. Even with some of the reasons I've been giving right now, I know things change over time. Stadiums get bigger, crowds get bigger, all that kind of stuff. But schemes change. I'm not surprised that we have winning records all time against those other teams. Kerry says that the coaches really like Iku. Well, yeah, they loved him last year, and you can see why. The dude's a leader on the field, being a transfer from Northwestern, right? I believe is where he came from. He's a guy that I'm really high on as well. Blaine says, isn't A&M up on us by 1? I do not have those records in front of me, so I will have to defer to those of you that have the opportunity to look in the chat. Neil says that UGA and AU has been bad for the last 10 years. Was very close for a long time. Yeah, it really has over the last, I would say more than that too, post Tommy Tuberville. So probably 15 years. It's kind of been, Georgia used to be a back and forth thing, much like the LSU thing was for a long time. For a while, we dominated Bama. Seems so long ago, doesn't it? It's been circulated on social media this week. The honk if you sack Brody game. Gosh, that was such a good time. Such a good time. I miss it so much. Devin says that Penn State fans are worried about Auburn. They should be. They should be very worried about coming in here. Yeah. Texas A&M doesn't count. They're not a real SEC school. Well, their charter, I guess, if that's what you say there, it shows that they're an SEC school. So how long in your mind, Neil, do they need to be here to be a real SEC school? Because we could make that same statement about Arkansas and South Carolina. I'll be honest with you. I consider Texas A&M more of an SEC school than South Carolina. I'll just be honest. Like, it's always struck me as odd that South Carolina's here. I don't mean to be mean to them at all, but it's just odd. Like, Arkansas kind of is that too to me, but I guess they fit a little bit better. Carrie says Jarrett Stidham was last drafted Auburn quarterback. Do you think any quarterbacks this year can be in the draft? If you're asking me my honest opinion, where they stand right now, no. If whoever gets the starting job keeps it and does an outstanding job, absolutely. But where I'm sitting right now, no. Just an opinion. I think Tank will go to the draft this year. He's a junior, right? Yeah, he's a junior. I think they have a very low shelf life. So I think, much like I was telling you guys last year, to prepare no matter what happens for Bo to leave, which, profit star for me. I was right. Prepare for him to leave as well. All right, we got our next caller here, so let's hop on. Oh, we got a dog fan in the chat too. Just in time for this guy to join the chat. Dusty, what's going on?
I was having a good night.
Listen, I welcome any fan from another school to be a part of the conversation. I just ask you to behave yourself. There's no need for cussing in here. We don't need none of that. We don't need none of that bad, foul stuff in here, Dusty, do we?
No, family show.
Family show here. Well, we try to keep it family friendly, but then sometimes someone comes walking into a chat talking about a dustbuster and a grandpa. And then what do? You make a t-shirt about it.
Yeah, we had the little stint there for about a month or two where we were getting those ads that were popping.
Oh, they're still there.
Yeah, it doesn't show them now.
I think it was the last Auburn versus Israel stream we did. I got pretty walloped by them. I'm getting better about catching them from before most people see them, because I have just pulled the curtain back. I have a control panel thing back here that I can do on my screen. So it's a chore to keep dustbusters, adult advertisements, and shenanigans from Bulldog fans in check. That's not why you're here to talk. What you're here to talk about. What's on your mind?
Well, I'll tell Corey. There's nothing we can say when it comes to football, but to Georgia, they've dominated us now. Y'all all know that I hate Georgia more than any other team, so it bothers me, but it is what it is. I think it's 14 of the last 17 they've won on us.
I hate to say it, but that sounds right. Yeah. And it's not for a lack of trying. I really think, if I remember correctly, the only time we've been truly blown out by them is last year, obviously. And is that really a blowout? I mean, I don't know. It was a comfortable win. I can't really think of the last time they blew us out. I can think of the last time we blew them out when they were number one.
Yeah.
That was sweet.
It lasted for 2 weeks.
It was fun. It was fun while it lasted, right? All right. Where are you at on the quarterback race?
Well, this is kind of a question I wanted to ask you, because I've been thinking about it the last couple of days, and I don't know. But with the injury to Nick Brahms, to me, it's just kind of hard to overlook that.
I can't.
And I know that everybody is talking good about Tate, and I hope the best, but it's like they're not going to talk negative about him.
Right.
They're not going to say, "Oh, he can't get the job done." So.
Right.
We're not gonna know anything about that probably until Penn State. I doubt that there's anybody on the first two games that's going to really test him like that. But you'll definitely find out week 3. But so my question is, do you think that the effectiveness of the offensive line will dictate who ultimately gets the quarterback job? Like if they just feel like there's a big hole now with Brahms being out, and the offensive line was already kind of the question mark. Do you just, if they can't block, you think maybe they just have to go with Robbie just by default, even if TJ or Zach maybe is a little bit of the better option? But
yeah, I felt like that's where you were going with that, and that's a good question. In my eyes, I will take your question and kind of relay it to last year. Bo was a superior quarterback to TJ last year, but even if that wasn't the case, his skill set is what we needed to survive with the way the offensive line was struggling. So to take that concept and add it to your question here, I'll be honest with you. Tomorrow, we're doing a live stream at 8. I think that's when I'm giving my final prediction. I have it in my calendar, but we're doing a prediction show for the season. I think what it is tomorrow I'm letting you guys do the predictions, and I think on Saturday I'm posting my final prediction. But I'll go back and look at my calendar. Anyway, let me get to what your question was. That offensive line news is really worry me just because of the problems that we've been through. And if we're having to change who we pick at quarterback simply because of that, that worries me a little bit. I listen, I love a dynamic quarterback. Nick Marshall, to me, he's the ball that you can see up there in the corner, is one of my favorite Auburn players.
Yeah, me too.
I think Robbie presents us an opportunity to overcome some of those problems, but is he got the command that Coach Harsin needs to see out of him, of the offense holistically? Time will tell. That's a great question. It's one to really think about. And those are the questions and those are the problems that I'm thankful I don't have to solve.
Yeah. No, that's why you're making millions of dollars. Or it's just, with TJ being 6'7", we all know that he's never going to be mobile.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that he's improved accuracy and all that kind of stuff. And something that is not, I don't know what TJ's numbers were, but I know that Bo's adjusted completion percentage last year raises it almost 11%.
Wow.
And that's always going to raise a lot, but 11%, and that just you think to the big drops. Like I could think of a couple drops at A&M that really would have kept us in the game. So if a guy like Shed can step up and get 600-700 yards, that would be great. Because it's whatever it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a spread attack because the tight ends are going to get their balls. Like Samuel Shanker's going to get his, and then the other guys too. They're talented. They're going to get some balls every now and then.
Right.
It looks like Camden Brown's going to get playing time pretty quick, and he's obviously turning a lot of heads. Malcolm Johnson Jr. You got Johnson. There's a lot of options there. There's a lot of potential to where if it all comes together, I feel like it's going to be a pretty balanced attack. I don't think it would be like really one guy having big numbers, but I just, and then somebody said earlier that about hearing that Zach was really coming on. I've seen that in 3 or 4 places too.
Yeah.
So, was it true or not? I don't know. There's always rumors and stuff like that. And
Right.
sometimes they're true and sometimes they're not, but it's, I'm glad we have the first 2 games that we have, but I don't want to, we'll be fine versus Mercer no matter what. I don't want to overlook San Jose State because, I've seen us go to overtime with Jacksonville State and UL Monroe and that crazy thing with Utah State, and I can just go on and on. And so last year with Georgia State.
Yeah. You keep bringing up some bad memories for them. Like I had blocked out that Jacksonville State because I was stuck at work that day and trying to figure out if we were going to lose or not. I will always remember where I was exactly at my former employer, standing, trying to sneak my phone out in the middle of the public to look and see what's going on. So thank you for reminding me of that. Here's what I'll say about wide receivers and giving guys opportunities and getting them to help these quarterbacks. I do hope that whether it's Camden Brown, Coy Moore, somebody can be that outside presence, that deep ball threat that we wanted more consistently. And I think the biggest benefit of that, when you couple with better and increasingly better tight end play, is going to be a guy like Shedrick Jackson. It's the Cody Burns story all over again. And if other than, Shed's always been a wide receiver. I think Shed could be not the leading receiver today, but be the guy that at the end of the year, we turn around and we're like, where did all those yards come from? Because there's guys that are opening up opportunities for him to be overlooked, because everybody knew last year in a pinch, we're probably going to Shedrick Jackson, whether it was on a fade route in the end zone or, Shed he had some bad drops too, but I think holistically, he was probably the best option for us last year. And this year he's got pieces around him that I think are going to benefit him. And I hope the quarterbacks too, because whoever gets in there and gets that responsibility, they have to get support from their offensive line. They have to get support from their wide receivers to make the catches when they need to make the catches. Everybody drops a ball in the heat of the moment, but it's those 6-yard, in routes where it hits you square in the hands when we're still on the 30-yard line and forces a punt. Those are the things that just kill you.
Yeah. It's always, we always dropped it at the worst times last year. It was always, I distinctly remember versus Texas A&M, a 3rd and 19 where Bo had been struggling all day and he throws one on a rope to Kobe, and he just drops it. And it would have been a gain of 22 for a first down. It would have been big. We were still in the game. We were down like 9-3 or something. And that was just a story of last year, which is something else I want to point out. I know like a lot of people on all the podcasts and stuff have pointed this out. It's not a big take or anything, but
right.
Everyone is just acting like all these media people, they still, even now, even a week from the season, if I see a podcast start talking about the investigation and the Brian Harsin drama, I just turn it off because we're a week away from the season. Like, there's so much stuff on the field that's actually going to affect the game.
Right.
Everybody in that locker room had their chance to go. 18 to 20 kids. I don't remember the exact number, but a lot of them did. A lot of them left. So the intangible stuff is not going to be an issue with this year's team. Right. All these guys are on the same page. They're all together. They all want to prove, for themselves and for their coach. So that part of it, to me, if you're even coming at it with that, then you're either uneducated or you're just Joseph Goodman and you have an agenda. So,
Joseph Goodman.
Yeah, that guy. So really, all these what they're doing that's crazy to me is they're just writing up Ole Miss as a loss. They're just writing up Arkansas as a loss. They're just it's like, well, we beat these teams last year. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even with Mississippi State, I understand that Mississippi State, they were returning 17, 18 starters, and it's a game on the road, but like people are just chalking that up as an automatic L for us. And it's just like, okay, I mean, we gave that one away last year, and I hope that Jeff Smetting is not going to just sit back the way that we did in that game and not make any adjustments. That was pretty wild. That was a pretty stubborn thing to see. And Mason did that. He has a history of doing that in his career. So, if you look at it, we easily could have won 19 games. We weren't that far. Right. And then, like I said, it's just funny to see them. LSU, everyone just putting LSU ahead of us. We've beat LSU 2 years in a row.
That one's very perplexing to me. I get Brian Kelly is magic. I get LSU is the type of program historically that can just get the talent they want. I would say it's very similar to Auburn. Can flip a switch and instantly be a contender for a national title.
Yeah, it's a great program.
But they're in a pretty bad place too. They may not have had someone manufacture a scandal. Well, they kind of did, but
yeah, they're in the middle of a scandal. They're in the middle of a big scandal, a real one.
And the ones they actually got in trouble for. So I think LSU will always be dangerous, but I think this is an LSU team that got humbled over the last couple of years, especially the big drop off from being so dominant in their national championship run. I mean, Auburn kind of felt that too, right? Think about it. I mean, 2 years removed from that, their head coach is fired. Same story. So
yeah, same thing. Yeah.
So yeah, I it's not that I'm not worried about LSU. I would be more worried about Ole Miss. I would be more worried about Arkansas. I think LSU is not going to be one of the bigger things that we need to worry about this year.
Yeah, I think it's funny that these are being chalked up as automatic L's. And I understand, that the quarterback is the big talking point. It's sexy, and hey, man, it matters. It's definitely the most important position. Mm-hmm. But I think that the good thing for us this year is I think this is going to be one of the better defenses that we've had. And in the last 10 years, we've had some really great – defense hasn't been the problem. I feel like that 2019 defense, it got tired towards the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Because there were just some games where we just could not move the ball. But that D-line was just nasty, man. And that was just a really great defense. But I feel like this year's defense has the potential and to be one of the best ones we've had. And then you mix, especially the depth on defensive line. But you mix that in with 8 home games and what is now being a lot of people are acknowledging is one of the toughest places to play in the country, if not the toughest. It's just a good recipe. So I just kind of look at it like this. When I look at a schedule and breaking it down, I don't necessarily go and say, okay, this game is a win, this game is a loss, other than like the Mercers or an Alabama going to Alabama right now, because I feel like they're going to win every game this year. They're just stacked. But for these toss-up games, I kind of look at it like, so I'll say you have 8 home games. I think it's realistic that we can go 6-2 in those home games, and then of the 4 road games, you can go 2-2, and then that would most likely equal beating Ole Miss and Mississippi State on the road, and then losing to Georgia and Bama. But or maybe you flip that around a little bit, but just something like then you get to 8-4, and then you get to 8-4, you win the bowl game, you're 9-4, and then that's because we what 6 wins. Augusta last year was 6 wins, right?
Yeah,
it was a COVID year, so you played a little bit less games, but
I think it was
6-5 maybe.
I think so. Yes, I think so. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so.
So then we know how last year ended. So you can get to 8-9 wins, and then you'll see a strong finish that in recruiting as well. If you do that, and you will just the program will have a lot of momentum going.
I agree.
And I agree. I just feel like everything as a whole, if that happens, then you're looking at baseball being on track. You're looking at basketball being. I mean, everything can really get rolling, and we can really do some stuff.
I love that you're taking a holistic approach to this. This is what helps you get through the frustrations of football. I agree. This is you're not even. I know you're thinking about it, but you didn't even mention gymnastics. Bringing in the top recruit this year alongside Suni Lee. She's going to be here, folks. There's this rumor going around that she's not going to be here this year. That's still the plan as far as I know. There's a lot to look forward to this year. So I'm glad that you kind of wrapped it up and all that. I do got a bunch of callers on the line, so I'm going to have to let them in. But thanks for calling in tonight, Dusty.
Hey, War Eagle, brother.
War Eagle. All right. We do like to have a line. As I said, we'll get you in as fast as we can. So just stay tuned there. Real quick, though, before I get our next. Oh, we got a lot of people in. I got to hurry up. Everybody keeps popping in here. So just hang on. And one of those names is quite entertaining, so that'll be interesting to get to. You are at the back of the list, though. Real quick, let me mention my friends at allthingsauburn.net. Please go check them out. They have just told me that they have a lot of availability in terms of accommodations for game days for this football season. So please do go check them out if you're coming to Auburn and want a place to stay. Not just to stay, but have a full Auburn experience. Allthingsauburn.net. Their logo's up in my corner there. But please do go check them out if you can. All right, let's get our next caller in. Mr. Kevin in the dark, coming from the bunker. How are you doing, sir?
How you doing, War Eagle?
War Eagle, buddy. What's on your mind tonight?
Thank you. I think Robbie Asper would be the starting quarterback.
Why do you think that? Because a lot of people would be very happy with that news, to be honest with you. A lot of people kind of liked his potential more than TJ, maybe even more than Zach. But why do you think that?
Because he's fast.
Because he's fast. And like Dusty said earlier, that may be one of the things that's the factor in the situation. If our offensive line is going to struggle a little bit, maybe Robbie provides the best opportunity.
Yeah.
Yep.
And somebody says Zach Calzada might be the starting quarterback for the third game.
Well, here's what I hope, Kevin. I hope whoever is the starter for the whole season because of a couple of things. That means that we stayed healthy. That means that we didn't struggle to the level of thinking we needed to change quarterbacks. And that just means that we're probably having more success than we thought we would. So I hope whoever it is, if it's Robbie, leave him in, let him play. Let him figure it out this year. If it's Zach, let him, same thing. TJ, same thing. So I hope we're not changing. I hope we see all the quarterbacks in the appropriate times, but I just hope that we stick with one guy all season.
Do you think we get that? His last name is Story.
Story. It seems, yes. I've been practicing his name for the video I'm going to be making about him. And so that should tell you what I think. I do believe that he will be committing to Auburn based on what the experts are saying, but I haven't checked in on it in the middle of this week. So I don't know if things have changed in that story, but there seems to be a lot of momentum at least last time I checked, moving towards Auburn's way. So that would be a nice piece, right? On offense, especially to add alongside our other wide receiver, who we've already added there. So that's kind of like two pieces of the puzzle for offense already set this early.
How about the status of Nick Baromes?
We talked about him a little earlier. I guess it's whoever you believe how bad it is or how bad it's not. Apparently it was kind of kept him out for a little bit early in fall practice. Then he got back in there. Maybe it wasn't still, ready to go. So to me, I'm just preparing for the fact that he's probably going to only be available some when he can this year. And you're probably going to have to get used to seeing a rotation, which is not good at center. Well, hopefully when I say a rotation, it's just him and another guy. There's going to be, there's going to be like a starter A and a starter B instead of a depth chart traditional 1 and 2. It's going to be like, is Nick Brahms ready to roll? Start him. Is he not? Here's other starter A or starter B. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hope Owen Papo stays healthy.
You hope Owen Papo stays. Yeah, same thing with Nick Brahms, right? I mean, because he's the guy that's been struggling with that. And just from a talent alone and his potential that he has for like the NFL draft, like for me, it's more than just an Auburn thing that I hope that he is ready to go. I hope that for his sake, because he needs that, like to get to the next level, show he can stay healthy for a year, because he could shoot up those boards very quickly. He's from what I know about him, a very well-rounded, just smart individual. And so I think that's going to play well with his athleticism for the NFL.
I can't wait to see Tank run the ball.
Oh man, you and me both, brother. I want it exactly like Akron was last year, where he just bust one loose, 5 plays into the game, and then the crowd just erupts on a Saturday night, 6:45 in Auburn with the sunset going down over there. That is sweet music right there to my ears. That's what I hope for as well.
I hope are you going to the homecoming?
I will be at every game is my plan this year. That second game is in question, simply because I've got some family stuff that I'm might be able to come, it turns out, but I'm not completely sure of that yet. But to answer your question directly, yes, I will be at the homecoming game. That's always my plan, is every home game to be there.
I'm planning to be there.
I hope to see you there, buddy. Do you mind if I get to our next caller? But it's been good to hear from you tonight.
Yeah, War Eagle.
War Eagle, Kevin.
Bye.
Bye. All right. I think we are going to, after this last caller, close down the lines just because of some time issues. So I do apologize if you were, we're going to let Thomas is here on the line, and we're going to let him in just a second, but I am going to go ahead and close down the lines for tonight. And I apologize if you were hoping to call in at the very end there, but just for time's sake, we're going to go ahead and shut that thing down. But let's talk to him. He's our friend, Mr. Thomas, who's been schooling us a lot this season about different positions. You have a week and a half, buddy. What's on your mind?
Let's go straight to the center position, seeing as this week it really hadn't turned out the way we thought it was going to.
Right.
Look, I know they've made a lot of smokes come around Tate playing center, and I made the point earlier. He's only 285 pounds, so he's going to be giving up 30 to 40 pounds against the guy he's supposed to block for most of the SEC schedule. I don't think he might be good, he might be quick, but strength on strength wins football games in the trenches, and you got to be able to move people. So I'm happy for the kid getting reps, but also during the season, you don't start putting on more weight. That's what the summer workouts are for. They've got you where they think you need to be for this year. So they're not going to say, all right, well, we need to increase and you got to take on more, this, that, or the other. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
It just doesn't. So I would not be surprised to see Jaleel Irvin in there if Brahms can't go, and I really wouldn't be surprised to see Council either. Someone mentioned about that earlier, but yeah, I could definitely see Council in there. He's got a lot of games played. He's got a lot of seniority within the offensive line. So I think if Brahms can't go, I think he's our best bet, but we got to trust the coaches in that.
I agree. I think it's good to lean on experience in situations like this, even if the experience hasn't risen to its fullest occasion as a unit yet. I think when you lose experience, having experience to fall back on is something that you can't deny. And I think that's why they pointed out, Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn has been talking about that a lot this week, about Council being a solid option there. And I think that's a very legitimate case that's being made. I would love to just see some of the new stuff, to be honest with you. I'm willing to take a few lumps. I just kind of want to see some fresh blood into the offensive line that we haven't seen, even if they've been here for a while. And we're getting that apparently with Killian Zaire. So that's kind of what's got me excited about him, especially as part of that. Even if he doesn't end up winning the starting job, we know based off what the coaches are saying that he is going to be a legitimate part of this rotation, and he's ready to go. So there is that experience that you really want to fall back on, but there's a part of me that's ready to see something new. Just kind of,
No, I understand what you're saying, but strength on strength, it just worries me if you got somebody going to give up that much weight and has never played it down in college football. That's a lot to give up, especially going into any game, really realistically. But going into Penn State, do you want a guy that's actually played out there, or do you want the guy that's quicker than him? Yeah. That's smaller. Like that, it just doesn't make any sense at all to me. And but I could be wrong. I'm not the coach. I don't make these calls.
Yeah. Listen, again, I said it earlier. They get paid millions to make the hard decisions. And I bet they were hoping that they didn't have to make a decision like this early on, but that's just the nature of the way I think football is a physical game. And sometimes some people just cannot get that injury bug off of them. And I hate it for a guy like Nick Brahms, who chose to come back for another year because he loves Auburn. And once it's the same kind of thing as John Samuel Shanker, who, in his press conference this week when he was named a team captain, talked about, he told Harsin right away after the bowl game, I'm not coming back for me. I'm coming back for Auburn. And I think, that we have that image. I think it was him, Nick Brahms, forgetting who else was there. Maybe it was Anders too. We're all sitting at that last game in Jordan here. And you kind of just got the feeling that they all made that decision then. We got to come back. Like we cannot end this way. And when I think about that, one of the saddest scenes I've ever seen was El Toro Freeman sitting in the end zone after that Iron Bowl, and just that man's heart and soul was in Auburn. And to watch him have to go out in a loss like that, and just he could not bring himself to walk out of that stadium. That breaks your heart, man, because that man cared more. He cared more than any man probably should care, but he cared so much, and I love that about him.
Yeah, he was. That was a tough way to watch him go out. Like, that was an Auburn dude, and he played his heart out every chance he got. He was a really fun player to watch.
Yeah. I miss guys like that, but I think we've got some guys that could be El Toro Freeman like already on the thing. So, yeah. What else is on your mind? A week and a half left. What do you got on your mind outside of that offensive line position?
Quarterback. I don't care who.
Is there a quarterback race going on or something? I mean,
I've heard some things. At this point, I don't care who the starter is. I just want to win games. If they have to make a change 3 or 4 games into the year, I'm not going to say 2 games, but 3, maybe 4 games into the year, I'm okay with it. I'm going to trust the coaching staff to put the right guy out there. Right. And development of a quarterback never stops. You don't just well, you're the second stringer. Keep doing what you're doing. No, you compete every day at practice trying to get that number 1 spot. Because if clearly you're better and you give the team a better chance to win, you're probably going into the game. Now, we didn't see that out of previous coaches. We just didn't. They kind of stuck to their guns, and I get it. Right. But Harsin was another reason he was brought here is to develop quarterbacks, because he has a track record of doing that. The quarterback coaching room is full of guys that have played the quarterback position. They have experience, and they've coached quarterback before. So if TJ can make that a big enough jump like they're saying he's making, I'm all for it. Let's ride. If Calzada needs to be a little bit further along due to some look, I don't care what anybody says. Jimbo Fisher doesn't develop quarterbacks. He just relies on them. I'll take it to my grave. I'll die on that hill. But I don't think he got what he needed there. I think he's with quarterback coaches that are really going to push him to get where he can be and where he needs to be a collegiate starting quarterback. And it may be at Auburn in this year, and it may not be at Auburn at all. We don't know yet. But you got to give a quarterback time to develop. TJ came in. He came in in a COVID year to LSU, had all his meetings on computer. He didn't start college right in there with everybody else the way you are in a quarterback room developing. It was a COVID year. They can't do it. Then he gets thrown in the fire. Then he gets changes schools, brand new system, trying to work into that. We've talked about the hitch, how sometimes it was there, sometimes it wasn't. Right. You're learning, and you just got put – The fire's hot under your feet, son. You play an SEC ball again for a different school when you don't have enough time in the playbook, and we need you to execute right now.
Right. I agree. Time is of the essence now. It's time to show that those improvements are happening, not just at TJ, but across the board there. You know, you went through the fire last year. There's room for a little grace, despite some people not being willing to give that at all. There was room for that. This is the year we need to start seeing the upward trajectory, or things will have to change. And I'm not above believing that. Like, as much as I dismiss that, when people go to that place immediately, I mean, if it gets bad enough, things have to change. And Harsin is all about that. So I'm sure he or anybody else that he instills with that type of mentality will understand that if the results aren't there. I know I'm cutting you off a little short, but I do have to head out. But Thomas, thank you so much for calling in. I hope to hear from you next week.
Absolutely, guys. War Eagle.
War Eagle. All right. By the way, I've realized Russell was that caller with that interesting name, and sorry that you weren't able to get in tonight, but that was I had a feeling it was somebody who's been here for a while, one of our veterans to the show. All right. With that being said, couple things I want to bring to your attention. We are going live tomorrow night. I think I have it on the schedule as a pick'em show for you guys to officially pick the record with me. I don't think it's going to be my final prediction, but we're just going to do it together. Just think of it as similar. Yeah, I have it titled as the fan schedule prediction live stream. So tomorrow night, getting you guys used to us being live on Thursday nights, which will be our game preview shows. So 8 o'clock tomorrow night, be here or be square. Hope you guys will see you there. In the description, please check out some of those links there, ways that you can help support our content. Those are things like being a Booster Club member. You can over to patreon.com/E2C Network. There you can become a booster. I'll give him a shout out, even though I haven't seen him. Stan is, I know his last name now, but I don't know if he wants me to give it here. He has just become a Booster Club member. We'll be giving him a shout out publicly soon. Thank you, sir, for becoming part of that. But if you don't want to head over to Patreon, you can just be a channel member here. $1 a month is all it takes to keep the lights on here. It helps us. I know it doesn't seem like $1 makes a difference, but it does. Either way, you don't have to do any of that or any of the other options financially to help support us in there. We just appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending time with us here on Wednesday nights or any other live streams, watching the video, smashing the like button. Tell a friend. Invite them to be part of our little family within the Auburn family, because you guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. I just saw that. I will work on that. It won't be soon, but I will work on that. Guys, thank y'all so much for being here and being part of the live stream. I look forward to Wednesday nights the most out of any of these, because they're the easiest ones, because you guys make it easy. Because I love talking to all y'all and hearing from y'all. Thank y'all so much. Be here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. or on Wednesday next week. Stay tuned. Lots of content about to be coming through E2C Network with football just right around the corner. Till I talk to you guys again.